They say money can't buy happiness. Look at the fucking smile on my face. Ear to ear, baby. You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari, 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Life Advice. The email address is lifeadvice@gmail.com. Back in the States. I'd say I feel refreshed, but I don't. I just don't know if the culture's for me here anymore, man. We have about a 2.5 hour travel pod that we're working on. We don't know if it eventually will be that long. It's fucking long. It felt a little repetitive at times. Do you know the final count on that, Kyle?
I think 147 minutes is where I was at when I was bouncing it before the pod today, and then I didn't actually have enough time. I thought like 15 minutes worth of exporting time was enough. It wasn't. So maybe there will be a cut or two. I don't know. I think you have a final cut on that, but
have you? Yeah, we went Oppenheimer on this one. Cerruti, did you give any of it a listen yet?
I've caught the first, I think the first file you sent to me. You know, I've got some catching up to do. It seems like Kyle's over it.
He said it in like 5 installments, and by halfway through, he's like, I don't know if I even want to do this anymore. And I was like,
this might suck. Yeah.
And then the next day, he was like, here's day 7. And I was like, okay, all right, we're back on.
Yeah, I had a day. I was like, I don't know if this is good enough. It's kind of long, and oh hey, you went to another place, got it, and this is old. But then I felt like I finished really strong, so then I liked it again. Cerruti, we did all this on the phone yesterday. I've caught up for lost time, fucking the amount of times I've called Cerruti since I've been back. So I think before we get to the life advice, we got to check in, man. Frolic Room scammer all over the news.
Yep. It's been he's got $500 or $500,000 bail. I think there's been a couple more charges on him again, since we last spoke about him. And the really hard part is Frolic Room is attached to the Pantages Theater, and their power has been out since like Friday last week. So, I mean, people are reeling. We got to get this stuff, that's kind of the town square. We have to exchange ideas about this, thoughts. And I think today's the first day that it's opening since.
Wait, so Frolic Room's been closed? You guys haven't had power, so you haven't been able to go. When's the last time you didn't go to the Frolic Room for 5 straight days?
Probably since I was in New York. I don't know. I mean, and we've started going other places, and we sit down and we're like, this doesn't feel right. We've like connected at some other places. I feel like we're like the Sons of Liberty, like trying to find a new like headquarters or something, and it's just not right. Everything doesn't feel right. So today I think is the last day. And they kept saying their Instagram has like been sending updates, and they're like trying to send the positive update, like, oh, I think we're gonna have power tomorrow. We're good. And then twice now they've said the Frolic Room will be open tomorrow, and then the next day they'll be like, sorry, Frolic Room's closed again. So it's just it's a roller coaster of emotions, and I'm gonna try to get in there today.
Wow. I love the town square analogy, just ye old friar, and just
it's a cultural exchange,
right. I mean, that's really how we're different than the animals, exchanging ideas and believing gossip. Think about it. The root of everything.
It wasn't mentioned in the next in this latest article of the LA Times too. Also wasn't mentioned, but that's okay.
Wait, the Frolic Room was not mentioned?
Frolic Room was not mentioned. I just wasn't mentioned. And I don't know. I'm not saying like I cracked a case here, but I don't know. I was definitely, if they made a documentary about it, I think there would be at least a clip of this podcast, but whatever.
Yeah, that feels like a
work
huge
on Mike and Mike. Because that was the thing. If you didn't work on Mike and Mike, you weren't going to be in the documentary.
Oh, okay.
When we used to do some of the ESPN docs, you'd be like, what'd you guys do? Like, oh, we made a doc about Vineyard High School football. Be like, who'd you use? Like, oh, we used all the guys from Mike and Mike. Like, oh, okay. So yeah, if there's a Frolic Room scammer, that's made for Netflix. Everybody loves that scam stuff. It's easy to make. You just fucking keep showing like money next to a bar with like a wet glass stain, and you just keep going back to that shot over and over again. It's like the World War II and color thing. I've seen that same plane go down 1,000 times. It's like,
pitch it to Bill. Pitch it to Bill. Ringer Films.
Bill will just say no.
Yeah.
He's not going to say yes to that. I just don't think he would do it for you. All right, let's get to some emails here. You guys ready to give some awesome to standard advice here? Bachelor party etiquette is the older dude in the group, 31 years old. All right, so that means you're going with really young guys. 6'1", 185. Gym stats are unremarkable and no basketball comp. Hey, just like me, coming back from Spain, fucking wondering, hey, am I going to have to ask for a spot today? I hear you, buddy. No basketball comp, but I keep myself in pretty good shape and was a very good high school lacrosse player. Awesome. And I have a frame that would make you think I was a pretty good midfielder when in reality I'm slow as hell and played goalie. All right, so not the basketball comp we normally get, but a full-blown 24/7 breakdown of Lex. My brother-in-law, my wife's brother, recently got engaged. And plans for his bachelor party are in the works, planning on Charleston. Good call. Of note, he is 24, and all of the other guys that will be on the trip are 23 to 24 years old. I'm very close to my brother-in-law. I've known him since he was a kid, and we hang out pretty frequently and get along really well. I met a few of the other guys along the way, but we don't know any of them that well. Current plan is an Airbnb for a condo or house in the area. There will be around 8 to 10 guys in total. Good-sized group. My question, should I be a good soldier and stay at the Airbnb, or should I spring for my own hotel room nearby? I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm obviously planning on partaking in all the plans for the weekend, but at the same time, coming back to my own quiet king-size bed around midnight or 1 a.m. sounds much more appealing than combating the spins and reflux in a bunk bed with music still playing at 3 in the morning. This will be the first bachelor party for all the guys except for the groom when he went to mine. Myself, oh, wow. So this is their first one. The first ones for us were shit shows.
Yeah.
Shit shows. Like a guy came out of a strip club bleeding once. We were like, I don't know, just get in the bus. We didn't know what was going on. Myself and one other guy, so I imagine they'll be coming in hot. I think that's fair to say, especially Friday night, as we all tend to do in these sorts of scenarios. Right, when you're younger, and actually when you're older too, you usually fucking light the candle a little too hard in the first night. It's very rare, unless it's a college football Saturday where you'll just look around and be like, hey, you know what? Let's not have tomorrow be the living dead. I'm like, hey, great call. A hotel will probably be a little more expensive, yes, but I'd be willing to spend the extra money. Another piece of information that factors into my preference for a hotel. My wife and I have an infant at home, so if I'm going to be spending a weekend away, I figure I might as well take advantage of the time apart and be able to enjoy some peace and quiet at night. So what would you guys do in my situation? As a secondary question, if I were to stay in a hotel on my own for the weekend, how do I tactfully bring it up my brother-in-law, and how much should I chip in for the Airbnb? My rationale should be to pay 1/3, 1/2 of what the other guys are paying, excluding food and alcohol.
No.
Yeah. I was with you for such a long time. Although there may be a zero number too. So we'll get to this. Since I'll be using the house for other portions of the weekend besides sleeping, pretty much all the other guys are just getting started in their post-grad jobs. Whereas I am more established in my career and don't want to be hanging these guys out to dry by not staying and not paying my share. Does that seem too generous, too cheap, or about right? Was thinking I would come by in the morning, at least one of the days with bagels, breakfast burritos, or something of that nature. Lastly, any general advice that you all may have about how to approach a bachelor party weekend, being the older guy by a pretty good margin with a group that you don't know that well. By no means am I trying to fully integrate like the core, to become a core guy here into the group. But it would be nice for us all to have a fun time. It would make the wedding itself more fun if we had a good base from the bachelor party to build upon. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is a really tough one. I know it can seem easy. Maybe you guys will think it's easy. Okay, fine. Because here's what I wouldn't want to happen. First of all, 31 to 24 isn't that big of a difference. I would treat a bachelor party at 31 like I was 30 or like I was 24. All right. So with my group of friends, 31 at a bachelor party, nobody be, elder statesmen rolling through. Okay. So you may be more mature. There's a pretty much 100% chance you were more mature at 31 than I was at 31. All right. So the thing you don't want to do, though, even though I think the age gap isn't as extreme as you may think it is, but I'm kind of focusing on the 31 part on your end. But the first party, great tidbit there. They are going to be coming in red hot. The first couple weddings, the first couple bachelor parties for all of our guys when it was like mid-20s, those were fucking free for all. Certain guys weren't getting invited to the next one because of something they did the one before. There was one groom that like absolutely lost it and fucking everybody because there was a golf cart that was crashed. And we're like, dude, this is a massive overreaction. And he's like, no, this is you guys knew you were doing it. And we're like, no shit, we're going to do it. But the point is, I don't think the 31 to 24 thing is that big of a difference. What I would, as a 24-year-old who doesn't know what I wouldn't want you to do? Be absolutely Human Torch the whole weekend either. Because sometimes you'll have that. You'll have the older guy that's so fired up to relive it all that he's such a fucking mess the whole weekend that it actually is kind of like whatever. I mean, you're already dealing at a deficit. You're talking about 8, 9 core guys at this age, And so I don't think they're going to care if you're not at the Airbnb. They're not going to understand the kid thing. The parents that are listening right now, especially first-time parents, the idea of waking up in your own hotel room, being able to sleep in a little bit on your own and not have to deal with parent duty for 48 hours, that's the best vacation you could ever fucking go on for the new parents that are listening right now. So the finances is about the group. There's not a rule that works here perfectly. I think it's actually great that you're saying, hey, let me kick in a little. And by the way, you need to sell your brother-in-law on it first. So your brother-in-law is selling it to anyone who could have a potential problem with it. If there's 8 to 10 guys that are getting into the Airbnb, your sliver for the bunk bed isn't going to completely change their cost model. Okay. So that's the other thing. So I don't feel like this is you letting anybody down financially. You clearly want to stay in the hotel. And I think the most important part is if you're not down for the 3 a.m. Taylor Swift party and you're going to be fucking miserable, definitely don't stay there. And they may prefer you not being there. So I think you've got it mapped out. I think your instincts are really good here. Get your brother-in-law to sell it. Figure out the price ahead of time. Make sure he knows, because there's always going to be one fucking guy that's like, oh, he was here like 3 days and he drank at the pool and he's not going to pay anything. And now I got to pay 112 instead of fucking 104. There's always going to be one of those fucking guys that fucks it up for everybody else. Just make sure your brother-in-law sells it on everybody, because I think your headspace is clearly mature and in the right spot here, because there's going to be some late night shit that you don't want to do. But I'm telling you, they probably don't want you there either, even if you're the greatest fucking guy of all time. But the non-core guy with the bachelor party deal, it's usually a recipe for disaster.
Me, I love hanging out with older guys, so I would have loved you to be at my 24-year-old bachelor party. I just love hanging out with older guys.
Phrasing.
That's what I like. Yeah. Did I say something weird? I said I love hanging out with older guys. Did I not say that? I said I love older guys.
Totally normal.
Yeah, whatever. I'm excited to see my 80-year-old Vietnam vet. I haven't caught up with him in a couple weeks, so I'm just ready for a new story.
You're salt of the earth. You're better than I am. We've already established this.
Okay. I think though what you do, you still want it to seem like you're all in, even if you're not. So I mean, if like I said, if the price is $125 for you to have 1/8 of that or 1/10 of that Airbnb, I still think you pay that. Unless if it's like under $200, I still think you pay that, because you want it to seem like it's all cohesive, even if it's not. Like my brother did that when we had my bachelor party, because he went and picked up his Russian girlfriend from like Texas and then drove from Florida to Texas and then drove up to my bachelor party in Ocean City, Maryland. And like, I mean, that was insane already, but they stayed together. So wait.
What did he do?
My brother goes to Florida State. He's married. Thank God. He's dating this woman that he met in Mexico. She's a Russian. She's 32. So we've been over this, right? So she went and picked her up in Texas, I imagine, at the border. And then drove from Tallahassee to Texas, and then drove from Texas to my bachelor party, because this was like when college was letting out.
So he, on his way to your bachelor party, he just made a quick stop in Texas from Florida and then drove up to the Northeast.
Insane stuff.
The Atlantic.
Stuff. As a 20-year-old kid, I was like, I can't believe he did that. I wouldn't even have known how to start that whole thing.
There has to be a better way to have done that.
There has to be a better way, but there just wasn't. I don't know. Maybe flights were not an option for her. Who knows? We're just not asking questions at this point. So I think so he was with us the whole time, although he was the youngest guy in the group versus the oldest, but he like got a hotel or
it has to be accepted. Right.
It was accepted, but he made sure that he was always there, but also it wasn't like, well, I shouldn't pay for the, cause like you're right. It was like $112 and he had a thing where he didn't want to be a part of this. So he just made it work for him, but still, was exactly like everyone else in the party, which means he paid for stuff. I think he brought over like 8 pounds of fucking bacon, like to throw in the fridge, like that nobody cooked. And then they left in the Airbnb, and I think they charged us for leaving like great good quality bacon in the freezer. Whatever, fuck you guys. But I just think
I'm not even laughing about that anymore. By the way, so did your brother bring his girlfriend to your bachelor party and then not stay with you guys?
He like stashed her. Yeah, she was like stashed, like, I don't know, 15 minutes away in some other like apartment, and I only saw her because he drove me up to go catch a flight in Philly to get back when it was all done. The first time I met her was when everyone was clearing out of the Airbnb, and he was just like, "Oh, so," I was like, "So you've been here the whole time, huh?" She's like, "Yes." I was like, "Okay, all right, well, nice to meet you."
That's
I guess
weird still.
It was strange, and then we were in the car for a couple hours on the way to Philly, and not much was said. But she was there. She was at the wedding, and she was staying at my parents' house with him all summer. So we had a few conversations while I was back. But I guess my whole point was that he made sure that like the shit that was different for him was for him. He made sure everything, he was like one of the guys and
right. But he's younger, and he's your brother, and he's that young, and everybody kind of has to look. I always feel like there's one guy that's going to be mad about the math and all of this. I think to the emailer offering it up, figure out something that's fair, make the offer. Honestly though, if it's 10 guys in an Airbnb, they should be able to handle the extra money that it's going to be for one guy deciding he doesn't want to be a full share. I mean, you could become a full share if you want. Some people would say, hey, that's the right thing to do. Other people would be like, hey, that's ridiculous. If you get in this hotel room and he's not staying there, he shouldn't have to be a full share guy. But I think the most important thing is that you don't want to be there for the late night stuff. And my guess is the core guys won't care that you're not there. So that's the foundation of your answer. So Rudy?
Yeah, there's probably a minute where he's like, somebody is at like 1 a.m, like, where the fuck is Todd? And they're like, oh yeah, he's got the hotel, and that'll be it. And then maybe you'll get like a comment the next day, but it's not going to ruin anything for sure.
I gotta be honest, I don't love it. I was in this exact same scenario. Any of it. I was in this exact same scenario. My brother-in-law got married. This was 2 summers ago. 2 summers ago? Yeah. Or maybe last summer. Either way, I was in my
March has been so long this year.
Who knows? I don't even know what year it is. I was 33, I think, at the time. They were all in their like mid to late 20s. So like kind of similar age gap. Not the same quite, range, but the same number of years. I knew some of them, didn't really know any others. I just kind of feel like it's a weird move to be the loner guy, even if you are the oldest, because I was the oldest guy there. I was kind of bummed too, because his brother-in-law that, on the other side was supposed to come and didn't come, and he's older than me. So I was like, great, now I'm the old guy at this bachelor party. I think you gotta just suck it up, dude. Like, you're just I just feel like it's a buzzkill if you are going to be like the guy that's doing his own thing for the whole weekend. And
it's going to be a much bigger buzzkill when night 2, he's fucking so sick of everybody and he can't fall asleep.
But let me tell you,
dudes are.
But it's only 2 nights, right?
I went to sleep,
Ace of Base,
exactly.
Right?
I went to sleep at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. the first night because we woke up at 4 a.m., got a flight, went down to Charleston. We were on Isle of Palms. It was beautiful. We got a big house, right kind of not on the beach, but like the street back from the beach. And the other thing too is like, can you just tell your brother-in-law like, hey, like, is there any situation where I can get my own room? Because I got my own room, and obviously that's kind of a game changer. But like, we're talking houses in Charleston, like they're going to be big. You've got a bunch of dudes. There's a good chance that there's going to be a room with a bunch of bunk beds. There's going to be probably the master that the groom is going to sleep in. There's like a decent chance you can get your own room. And I don't remember. I mean, listen, I've been drinking all day, so I went to sleep pretty easily. Both nights we were there, but like, I don't ever remember like being woken up by dudes raging, and they were having a good time late at night. I even partook in one of the nights, not all the nights, but I don't know. I just kind of feel like it's a weird buzzkill. Like, you're already putting off a bad vibe by showing up in the morning with bait. Like, you're just not a part of the crew. And I don't know, maybe I would just rather have the camaraderie. Yeah, not everyone's gonna be buddy, but like the whole point is like, you're there in this house, everybody's hanging out, and like the point of a bachelor party isn't so you can get some sleep because you have an infant. I don't like the vibes all around. I really don't. I think you got to just suck it up and go and see if you can get your own room.
I think you're right. I think
you guys might be right.
Throw a little extra, because you're going to spend way less on paying a little extra for the room than you would.
It's not even about the money.
I know, but it sounds like it kind of is for this guy because he's asking about it.
I just think you don't want to be like this. You're already the older guy outcast. You don't want to be the guy that isn't in the house. I don't know. I don't like it.
I wouldn't do what this guy's. I like what he's suggesting he might do, but I like what you're saying, bud.
I think my friends are just meaner, because I cannot imagine a scenario where we were all 24 and there were a 31-year-old guy staying there and then being like, oh, it's a little loud. Like, the second he would do that, it would be over. I mean, we'd be like, how'd you get it?
He just doesn't want to deal with that, right? That's what he's saying. Like, I don't think he'd be like, could you guys like maybe fucking not? Like, I think he would just be like, this sucks. This is hell. I can't wait to go home.
We wouldn't want him there. We wouldn't.
I don't know. I think
is not 41 though. I don't know. You guys are still fun at 30.
Exactly. He's psyching himself out. I had a great time.
I'm applying 24-year-old us to it. So
okay,
maybe.
All right.
You definitely got to ask the groom, by the way. Ask, because first off, run it by him. If he's like, hey man, like I was hoping we'd all be in the same house together, then you have to stay in the same house.
Okay. Let's get to this one. It's quicker. Let's see. All right. Our man's checking in. 6'1", 160, 39 years old. No basketball comp because I suck. I put 225 up 6 times the other day in my basement. That's about all I've got going for me. That's the only thing. if that's the only thing, you're fucking winning at life, dude. Good for you. My friends are thinking of a guy's trip in the next few years. We all known each other since college and starting to turn 40. Almost all married with kids. The two options thrown out are an Alabama game or a Waste Management Open. I like the idea of the football game, but we'd be terribly out of place when it becomes abundantly clear we're neither college-aged nor in any way affiliated with Alabama. That's completely irrelevant. I'm just telling you right now. Waste management looks fun, but also hectic. I'm not sure I'm trying to get in line at 4 a.m. just to watch people throw beer at the greens. Look, I've been to both. I've been to Bama multiple times, quite a few, and I've been to Waste Management 2 or 3 times. Depends on what you want at Waste Management, because there's like that group, and then there's like another group above that, and then and then you learn it's like these secret quests where there's an even better tier somewhere else. I've been lucky enough to be, I think, at the second best tier, and it's awesome. But we're also not running in at 4 a.m. with everybody else. But I would tell you that if you go on a non-Saturday Sunday, the move would be to maybe do the Thursday or do the Friday and then get the fuck out of there. That was the thing Van Pelt always told me. He's like, whenever you go to a golf tournament, one of the bigger ones, he's like, the very latest, go Saturday, then leave Saturday. Don't stay Sunday and then leave with everybody else, because it's mayhem. So the scouting report would be to go, it sounds like one day, or maybe the Thursday into Friday, or maybe Friday into Saturday. And then the good thing about Waste Management is you're leaving Phoenix, so you're going to get many more options for direct flights in and out of there. But the thing is it is a free for all, but it's also not. Like, not everybody is walking around throwing up on each other. The fact that it's at a golf tournament on the PGA Tour and you will see it every 5 to 10 minutes is kind of like still like, whoa, all right, that guy's out of his fucking mind. But because there's so much wandering and meandering, if you run for an awesome spot, like those people that do that are going to be so drunk later on, they're walking around getting beers, concession, the whole thing. So like nothing's better than the Masters, because the Masters, you can show up and there's seats that people run in and put their chair down at like Amen Corner and fucking have it perfect. But if they're not in their chairs, you can go sit in their chairs. And if they come back and you're in their chairs, everybody's very cordial about it. They tap you and go, hey, those are our chairs. And you're like, okay, cool, no problem. See you later. Thanks for letting us sit in them. And you're supposed to let people sit in your chairs when you're not there. Waste Management obviously is not that. But because there's so much movement of all the different people, you're going to just be able to walk and find spots. You're not going to be so far. You're not going to be 1,000 people deep because nobody ever moves. That crowd moves, baby. They move around. They want to see what's going on over there. They want to start talking to other people and meeting up with all these different people. So flights in, no problem, depending on what you want to spend. But even if you're just walking the grounds the whole time, I wouldn't worry about it being so chaotic, and I would go a little bit earlier. I, despite my love for LSU, would tell you that when they play Sweet Home Alabama at the beginning, Bryant-Denny Stadium, it is one of my favorite fucking moments in sports. It is incredible. But if you go to Bama on a not marquee game, which means it's harder tickets to get the marquee ones, when you go, they're so spoiled. Like when game day was there towards the end, when I was still at ESPN, game day showing up to other campuses, they'd lose their minds. Bama was like, oh, there's game day. And then just keep moving. So there's a very like
they block off this whole area when game day comes, right?
There's a like they deserve to be they're right to be spoiled, but they're fucking spoiled. So if it is not LSU, if it is not like, you know, again, depending on the cross match with Tennessee and then whoever they get slotted with, if you're not picking a game that looks like it's going to be special, which also means the tickets are going to be brutal, you can roll into that place and it's dead by the end of the second quarter because they're smashing somebody and the kids are like, now we want to go drink. Saban's even bitched about it in the past. The in-game stadium setup is on the higher end. I wouldn't put it up against LSU. I wouldn't put anything up against LSU, but it's still really, really good. And they've done this late light show. And look, I don't know. I think the last time I was there, I'm trying to think, it might have been 3 years ago. So, and if you're not from the area, the experiencing the culture will be something that you'll get there that you don't get at Waste Management, because the culture part of Phoenix is like, hey, it's fucking hot. And like guys wear aggressively stitched jeans and seem to have super hot older women with them all the time. Like think about Miami Heat courtside guy. If he could invent town, he would invent Scottsdale. So Scottsdale has its own thing, you know, and if some of the guys aren't married, like you're never going to do better in your life as a single guy than being in Scottsdale. I don't know what the fuck they put in the water there, you know, Mastros. And next thing you know, you're like, who am I talking to? This is nuts. That's probably not going to happen for you at Galette's in Tuscaloosa. So I think there's a cultural thing of Southern football. If you don't have, look, if you get it, you get it. And it's one of my favorite things is learning about it and understanding it and identifying the different areas and how they're different, how they're the same, and how they all think they're different from each other. And then me not being from there, I'm almost like, yeah, I don't know if you guys are as different as you think you are, but they do. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm wrong. But there'll be a moment of being in the South for Alabama football on a Saturday night that is tough to replicate anywhere else. So if that's what you're going for, an experience that you've never experienced before, fine. If you're looking for efficiency and a better hit rate on it working out for you, I'd go Waste Management. That was a long fucking answer. Jesus.
I would choose the golf tournament, I think. As a guy, I mean, it might be easier to get to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. As a guy who just booked a flight to a college town, that sucks. And I
What'd
think,
you book?
I don't think I could say because it's not announced. But I just booked.
We haven't.
Yeah.
I thought we already announced this on.
No, next week. Next week.
Oh, next week I can announce where we're doing a show.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And anyway,
well, where
tough.
you try to where we're going for the show, booking that travel is off the charts terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
right,
some
great,
of the
Glad
stuff
we
is
picked
more. No,
we're not even
like,
staying in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, like you kind of end up. Wait, so I'm not staying in the city?
I don't know what your deal is.
Well,
man.
yeah.
Like we're on a different email. We're on a, like you said, there's different tiers to this shit. I think we're in the tier where we're not staying in the city. I'm not sure where you're staying, but anyway,
we're staying in a city, but not the city.
No, the place we're going, you more often than not have to go to another state.
Correct.
Yeah, we're in another state.
But I was expecting that as the host of the show that I would get to stay in the city where the
Elizabeth
game was
will hook
that night.
It'd be all right.
Yeah, I'd make a call though because I heard it's pretty booked up already. So
no, they booked that stuff out years in advance. But this one is one of the all-time complicated places to get to.
Yeah.
So,
okay, great. So I don't know. Like I said, haven't done way too many college.
I'll tell you why.
know?
When you go, then you'll know why we booked it there. All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Sorry, it wasn't a direct flight.
So, but I think as far as like where you're trying to get guys on the same page or something like that, I think you're right. Phoenix would be way easier to fly into. I mean, I think there's more, kind of even just more to do, right? If you're like walking around a golf course for a couple of days. And what I'd like to say is, you know, as being in like a tier 7 Masters guy, where I really only go to the beginning stuff Wednesday and Thursday, which we've already established is actually going to the Masters Cerruti. And I think that was super fun. And I think the range of stuff that you can do outside of sitting in a seat and going to the, you know, concession stand and walking around a stadium, I think there's just more stuff to be done. And guys like to move around. So I would choose that. I would definitely choose Waste Management.
I think I would too. And only because, you know, Ryan, remember the only time I've been to LSU, I think, was when we went to LSU, Alabama in Baton Rouge. I forget what year that was. 20. It was Jalen Hurts, I believe, was Bama's quarterback. And here's the thing. The LSU scene was incredible. And I'm sure the same thing with Tuscaloosa. So that's why I'm comparing them. It was incredible. The pregame was incredible. The stadium's incredible. Night game, it was awesome. But the game sucked. I think it was like 17-0 Alabama. LSU couldn't move the ball.
That was an awful game.
It was just a terrible game. And like you risk that going to a Bama game, depending on who they're playing. And when you go to the Waste Management Tour, like I feel like, is it less, you would know, I guess, Ryan, it's less about the golf. Like, are people that into the actual tournament? Are they more than just like walking around, seeing people, you know, checking out different holes? Like, they're not that concerned about the leaderboard, correct? Like, I assume it's just like day experience. Whereas I feel like the Bama game is a little bit more like, you know, game dependent, sport dependent. Whereas I feel like individually you could have more fun at the golf tournament.
Yeah, that was the 17 game. It was awful. That was a bad game. I would imagine if you polled every person that's at Waste Management and asked them who was winning, I don't know. 10% might be too high. Hey,
so like, yeah, if you're going to a great Bama game, and you know it might not end up being a great, but you're right. If it's Tennessee, if it's LSU or whoever they're playing this year, like sure. But I don't know. There's a good chance that like Bama's going to blow out this team and it's going to be boring by halftime.
Right, but when it's awesome, like it was in the overtime game against LSU, that wasn't great for Bama fans. But like that's one of my favorite games I'll ever go to because it was just, you knew what was on the line. And then you end up getting the rematch in the national championship game. And I'll never forget leaving the stadium and be like, do not pick LSU in the national title game. They're not better than Alabama. And then I was in New Orleans for a few days. And as Chris Fowler put it, he's like, the voodoo just starts going because he's like, I picked him too. I was like, I can't believe I fucking picked him. I left the stadium that night walking out of tunnel. I'm like, do not pick them if they play each other again. Do not pick them. And he's like, man, the voodoo will get you. And then he did some, he did some tricep extensions with a Mick Ultra. All right. I think that covers it. It sounds like Waste Management around, it's more efficient. It's a better hit rate, but it is not peak Alabama on a Saturday night in SEC college football. If you've never done it, that to me would be the better experience. But it also depends, like, how much do you care about drinking? I mean, you can go to Alabama and not be drunk and have a blast. I don't know that you can walk around Scottsdale and not be shit-faced at that thing. Maybe. I mean, if you're super, super into golf, you might not even like it. But there's a single guy
really
in your
into
group,
the
Story,
West.
divorced, trying to figure it out. You know, he thinks he's DMing with somebody from OnlyFans right now. Send that guy to Scottsdale and look for an efficiency for him. All right. There you go. Thanks to Kyle, as always, in the mix, Cerruti and Brian Waters for helping out with the show. Ryen Russillo Podcast, please subscribe. And we will be back on Thursday, then go into 3 days a week coming up here soon. Ryen Russillo Podcast, Ringers Spotify.